Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm coming to you today from the outside. I hope it's not too windy because it's winter, but it's not, well, it's fall. Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting outside. It would be way too cold. But I have a book video, if you couldn't tell, for you guys today, and the weather was so nice, so I was like, let me sit outside, it's so nice. So today's book video, I'm sorry if you can hear the sheep in the background. Oh, I love living here, oh my god. That's always my background noise, is cows, sheep, cats, whatever. There's always life around me, bats, birds, I love it. But back to the books. I just wanted to chat about my reading plans for kind of like the end of the year, nonfiction November, which is hosted by a book Olive. Like every year, I think it's the last year that she's doing it, which is really sad, but I do believe that it will, you know, stick around in one way or the other. And also an update how it is going with Climathon. In case you didn't see the live show that Anya and I hosted on her channel, you haven't heard about Climathon on this channel in a while. So let me just give you an update. I've been having the weirdest reading year ever. It's so all over the place. I've read so much in the beginning of the year. I've accomplished my reading goal, I think, in like April. So I was like reading one book after the other, lots of short books, especially when I was like recovering from surgery and all that kind of stuff. And it's been something. I've read a lot, and then I stopped reading completely. Basically since summer hit, I've just not really been picking up books. I've read a few books here and there in between, but it's also like random books. I'm not sticking to my yearly TBR at all. I'm not picking up the books that I think I will love. I just pick up random stuff. That makes no sense. My reading year has been very, very weird, so I was like, let me try to get a grip on that, and let me try to make a TBR for the end of the year to see if it helps. Can't make any guarantees because, again, it's been a bit odd, and I don't know. But with nonfiction November coming up now in November, and with the Climathon coming to a close at the end of the year, and me still needing to fulfill some challenges, and having some books that I would still kind of like to get to, I thought I'll make like a rest of the year nonfiction November Climathon TBR situation, and see if that motivates me to actually read the books I actually want to read and not just random stuff at my library. First, a little update how Climathon is going. This is how it's looking like at the moment for me. You see there's still some free spaces. But I'm trying to combat that with nonfiction November. If you are unaware, I host the Climathon. It is a year-long reading challenge to read more about nature and the environment and the climate crisis, and this is the challenge board. The challenge board is completely optional. You can also double up as much as you'd like. You do not need to read nonfiction. You can read whatever you want, as long as it fits, you know, the prompt / is about nature, the environment, climate crisis, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is kind of the situation. I just personally have a preference for nonfiction books, and I, as the host and maker of the Climathon, I kind of feel like I would like to have one book for each category by the end of the year. I was doing really well, and then my reading slump summer happened, and I've been completely off the rails, and I'm completely behind at this point. But we're going to try to rectify that in the next couple of weeks until the year's over. I will not specifically talk about it because otherwise I would just repeat the books. I will just put on the screen whatever challenge I want to read certain books for. Not all of them are going to be for the Climathon, so don't... Oh, Tessie boy, no! No, 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 give me that, no, no, Tessie boy, no, oh, no! He just carried a dead bird inside the house. And now he's mad that I took it away. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your present, but please don't put it in the kitchen. Oh, Santino. Yes, we have bilingual cats. Anyway, what I was saying, the books that I will also count for Climathon will have like a little thing here, whatever challenge I'm reading it for, but not all of the books will have that. Let's start with the non-fiction November TBR that I have. I do usually read a lot of non-fiction. This year, not as much as I usually do, because again, my year has been my reading year has been really weird. But I've decided to stick to the prompts this year. Usually I don't. Usually I just read whatever non-fiction, but I like the prompts this year a lot. And since it's also the last non-fiction November that is traditionally hosted, I think it made sense to honor the host, a book Olive. Thank you again for hosting it for the last, I think, 10 years it was. The prompts are code, path, shot, and join, and you can interpret them however you want. So let's start with code. For code, I would like to read the food mood connection that was on my original Climathon TBR, and something that I just really wanted to read this year because I've been on a health journey this year to put something very complex into a very small sentence. And like I'm trying to learn more, I'm trying to change my habits, and like I'm trying to change a lot of things, and I feel like this book could be very helpful, potentially. And I've been wanting to read it all year, and I've just never picked it up, and I hope this is gonna give me the push to actually pick it up. It's basically how different foods influence our mind and our moods and our emotions, and I find that topic in general super interesting because I love neuroscience, psychology, all of that kind of stuff. But like also, again, since I'm on a personal health journey, I think it fits very well, and it does fit into the food prompt of the Climathon also. So that was my pick for that prompt in the beginning of the year, and I would like to still get to that one. The next word is path, and for that I actually have two options, both of which I have in print. The first one is this one. I love the cover so much. And it's called Queer Ancient Ways, a decolonial exploration. And this is a very academic book about specific spiritual beliefs from the very, very, very ancient times, both in Mesopotamia and I think, what was the other one? Mythological figures in Babylonian and Nahua creation myths. That's what that is. And it's kind of like looking at it from a new lens because a lot... Leave the bird alone. No. Tessie boy. No. That's not, no. My bird. Sorry. Yeah, I'm very proud of you. You're a great hunter. You really are. You really, really are a great hunter. I'm so proud of you. You're such a great hunter. Very proud. Very proud of my boy. But please don't put the bird in the kitchen, and please don't eat the bird. You have a very, very sensitive stomach. You vomit all the time. So please don't eat the bird. Please. You're so lazy. You have like, he has no upper core strength. But he's a good hunter still. I love you. Are you mad at me? Yes, he's mad at me because I took the bird. Bye. I forgot where I was. So basically this looks at these like ancient creation myths and goddesses and spiritual practices and spiritual beliefs, and like tries to look at it from like a queer decolonial perspective, because a lot of like archaeology and anthropology, basically the people who have written history, especially like history that was written today about the past, is made by white Western cis hetero men mostly, and not by the actual indigenous people that are the ancestors of whatever ancient civilization we're talking about, and so on and so forth. So this is just like a very interesting topic to me. I studied archaeology, I studied cultural anthropology, and I do identify as queer, and I do have an interest in decolonization, specifically since I'm white. So this, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. This was my birthday present from my partner. I'm very excited for it. I just haven't gotten around to it because it's so academic in its writing style that it's sometimes a bit hard to focus on. But I am very excited for it. So this could be a great option, and like ways, path, you know, The other option for path would be The Silk Roads, A New History of the World. He's still looking for that bird. He hasn't realized that I've thrown it far away because luckily Tess has like 2 brain cells, and one is for food exclusively and the other one is for cuddles. No, sorry, he has 3. He has one for complaining too. Obviously the Silk Roads, it's like a path. If you didn't know, the Silk Road is like an ancient path through a very, very big chunk of Eurasia. So, and it's been super important in history and the shaping of history. And I've been wanting to read this book forever, but it's chunky. It's, how many pages does it have? Oh, with the sources and everything, it's like 650 pages. Without that, it's like a little bit over 500 pages, and like, yeah, I'm intimidated by this. For Shot, I originally wanted to read this book, Never Enough, The Neuroscience of Addiction, because I was in the middle of it when it was first announced, and I like had problems like finishing it. But I finished it by now, so I'm not gonna go with that. Instead, I'm gonna go with something very different, and that is How to Do the Work, which is a self-help book, kind of, which I've kind of like more or less sworn off. I had a phase where I was reading them many, many years ago, but I've stopped reading them because a lot of them were just like, I don't know, like the recognized privilege of a lot of these authors, and some of the things they said just never sat right with me, and yeah, and my life just changed so much and became so much to bear. I couldn't have some person in a book telling me, oh, you just need positive affirmations and manifestations and then everything is gonna be fine, while my entire life was, you know, burning and completely crumbling and just on fire. I was like, I know. But I do want to read this book, so I'm gonna give this genre another shot. I'm gonna give this genre another shot with How to Do the Work, because I've heard good things about it, and I do feel like I'm finally becoming myself again, which so maybe those books are gonna work again. And then for Join, I actually forgot to bring it out with me. For Join, I'm going to read Entangled Life. This is another pick also for the Climathon for me. This is about the mycelium and the fungi and mushrooms and all that kind of stuff, and it's been like one of the books where I'm like convinced that I will absolutely love it. I've heard nothing but amazing reviews for this book. And I just really want to read it. But I'm also a little bit intimidated by it. But maybe Nonfiction November is going to motivate me to finally pick it up. Outside of Nonfiction November, I have a few more books that I would like to get to before the year is over. One is one that I'm almost done with, so I will definitely have finished that before the year is over, and that is The Spell Shop, which is like a cozy fantasy. And I knew nothing about this book. I thought it was something about like a librarian that, you know, something happened and she like leaves the city and then is like in nature. What I did not know is that this book actually takes place on a tiny island. So you have this librarian that was in the city, like her parents are originally from said tiny island, and her parents unfortunately passed away, and there's a lot of hardship that happened to her. So if you hear, oh no, he got the bird again. No! So she had a lot of hardship that happened to her. She's traumatized, she's grieving, and she's a librarian. She's obsessed with books, and she's very neurodivergent coded, and like, and then something happens, and then she goes back to her tiny island and finds like community and belonging and just acceptance and healing. And the amount of times I've cried through this book, it's going to be definitely one of my top favorite books of the year, if not my favorite book of the year. It's not because it's like the best book in the world, but because it hits so close to home for me, and completely unexpectedly. I had no idea how close to home. There were like literal quotes in the book that I have experienced in my own life, and I was like, did someone install a camera and wrote a cozy fantasy about my life? Like, there were things in there, oh, I just want to cry just thinking about it. And like there's a little romance in there, and it's cute. It's a well written, very cozy, cute, wholesome book. So I highly recommend if you're looking for some cozy vibes. But for me personally, this book wrecked me because it just hit too close to home. I also have on my list Cant Spell, Treason Without Tea, another cozy fantasy, not on an island. I hope. And because I'm just like in the mood for something cozy, light and easy, I like, as you've seen, like I have nonfiction on my TBR, and I'm really struggling to focus on stuff. I have a lot of work also this year, so it's a lot, and I need something soft and nice to balance it out. I love me a high fantasy, but I just don't have the mental capacity for like really extreme stories at the moment. So I'm gonna give myself some grace, and I'm gonna go for cozy fantasy instead. Heard some good things about this. I really enjoyed Legends and Lattes. Apparently this is really similar, so I'm gonna give it a shot. If by any chance I do at some point end up having the capacity for a high fantasy, I would like to read The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the third and final book in, I have no idea what the trilogy is called, to be honest with you. But it starts with the Poppy War, and it's like this from Chinese and Japanese history inspired high fantasy with shamans, and it's a lot. And I loved the first book. It's one of my favorite fantasy books, and then I really didn't like the second one, so I've been a bit hesitant of picking up the third one. But I did hear that the third one is the best one in the series, so I'm really excited for this one, and I would really like to wrap up the series before the year's over if I can. And then lastly, I have My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante on here. I usually don't read a lot of literary fiction, but I was in Pompeii this year. I was on holiday for the first time in 5 years. In 5 years, I was on a holiday, and we went to Italy, to the north of Italy, and then we went by train down south to Pompeii. While we were not in Naples, which is where this book is set, I still got inspired to like read it, you know, because I've heard incredible things about this series, and I was like, yeah, I feel like right now is the right time, and it's gonna come through, the audiobook is gonna come through in my library, so I definitely still want to read that. That's kind of like my TBR. That's more than I can handle, I feel like, and maybe I'm gonna read other things entirely. Who knows? My reading year is all over the place. Hey, let me know what your reading plans are. Is there any book out there that you definitely 100% still want to read before the year's over, or are you currently reading something that you're really enjoying, or maybe not enjoying? Like what's going on in your reading life? Let me know down in the comments below. Have a wonderful day. Bye.